Noah Church, and this is my video coaching series. Today I'm going to be talking about this yo-yo cycle that a lot of addicts get into while they're recovering. That's when we're feeling great at the beginning, we're motivated, we have this clear vision of what our lives are going to be like without our addiction, when we truly become the best version of ourselves. We're eating right, we're exercising, we're putting ourselves out there, we're accomplishing goals, we're feeling good. And this lasts for 2 or 3 weeks, a month maybe, and then that feeling starts to fade away, and we start to feel this self-doubt, this fear creep in, and we start to feel lonely and empty, and we relapse. And this relapse leads to a binge because we feel bad and we want to make that feeling go away. We want to make it go away, we forget about it, forget about our problems, forget about our lives, and we binge. And then we hit a low point where we're like waking up out of this porn-induced fog and we say, no, I will not be buried under this addiction. This is not going to happen. I'm not going to let it. I will never use porn again. This was the last time, I swear it. And then we use that self-righteous anger to remotivate ourselves and get ourselves back into this positive upswing, and we're good again for a couple of weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. And then the cycle begins again when we relapse because we feel empty. We start to lose that motivation. And this is that yo-yo cycle that a lot of addicts can fall prey to, and it can last for a long time if addicts don't learn how to break free of it. So I'm going to share a message with you that I got. He says, "Hey Noah, I'm 22 years old and I've been trying to quit porn for 2.5 years. I have porn-induced ED, I'm a technical virgin, never had a lasting girlfriend, by choice mostly, since I can't have sex. My highest streak was 35 days about a year ago. Since then I've been following a pattern I can't quite break. I go 2 to 3 weeks feeling great and being productive." Now, listen to this cycle, because chances are if you're out there and you're recovering from a porn addiction, you've been struggling with relapse, this cycle will sound very familiar. I go 2 to 3 weeks feeling great and being productive, feeling hopeful and all the no-fap superpowers. I have a clear vision of where I want to be and what I want to do with my life. When I'm on a good streak, I love what I'm doing, I'm social, always learning, engaged, and working a lot. I feel it's compelling. It can get hard and painful, but I manage to stick with it, or at least try and not give up. But then, for some reason, something starts. I slow down. There's brewing in my head the idea that there's something wrong. I feel empty and alone. I seek distractions. That leads to rationalized searching for porn, relapse, depression. It feels like another personality takes over, and when I access it, every true value I hold dear goes out the window. I don't want to sleep, see anyone, and I run away from my life, and I feel shame and the progress I did slipping away. Until I get to a really low point. I find inspiration in something, I start coming back, taking little steps and making a bit of progress in whatever I'm doing. I start feeling better. Since you've been through many of my same experiences I'm going through, and you got better, I believe you can help. I'm not looking for a quick tip that will just change everything, but for something that will help me consistently to help me out. Well, I can tell you that success, and consistent success, is all about habits. Discipline is habit. Willpower is habit. Success is habit. And that is the truth. It will take a long time to develop the right habits for you that will form you into the man you want to become. Don't listen to that 21 days to form a new habit bullshit, okay? In my experience, it takes a lot longer. And it takes a lot longer to get rid of old habits, too. But that's what we need to do. Chances are, if you're like me and like a lot of other guys who grew up with porn, your habit is to, when you feel a temptation or you feel lonely or depressed, is to give in and use porn to make yourself feel better. And that's a strong habit that you've reinforced time after time, year after year. It's going to take a while to break that and be free of it and develop new, stronger habits that will develop you into the person you want to be and carry you even through those dark times when you feel depressed and unmotivated. And the kinds of habits that we need to develop are things like, when you feel triggered, develop a habit to distance yourself from that trigger and from that cycle. Perhaps you see something pop up on your computer and you build this habit that you always, when you feel triggered, go for a walk. Or you go for a bike ride, or you go upstairs and call a friend. You do something that distances yourself from that activity. It gives you time and space to think and get away from that feeling, that buzz that's carrying you into this funnel that will lead to relapse. And by stepping away from it right when we start to feel that we're on that path to relapse, we can nip it in the bud before it gets out of hand. And that's a powerful habit to develop. Another habit that is very powerful and almost crucial, I believe, in recovering from an addiction is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of always being aware of where your mind is, what it's focusing on, and whether or not you're distracted by something else. It's always being present and being able to focus on what's right in front of your face. It takes years to develop this properly, and I'm still very much on that journey myself. But once you do, you can be aware of things like when you're triggered. You can be aware that, okay, I'm looking at my mind right now, and I know that I'm on the path to relapse. And once you recognize that, you can take actions to break that cycle. Now, another thing that mindfulness helps with is procrastination and distraction. And a lot of people, they get tempted to look up a YouTube video or something, and then before they know it, 3 hours have passed, and they barely remember what they've been watching, but they went on a YouTube binge. Now that's anti-mindfulness right there. That's just letting your mind go where it will without any sense of direction or purpose or focus. Mindfulness isn't about forcing yourself to do anything you don't want to do, but it is about being aware of what's going on in your mind and gently redirecting it back toward what you want to be focused on. A great way to build this habit, this ability, is with mindfulness meditation. You can look up guides to this online, but just start with 5 minutes a day, something really manageable. And what I do is I sit in a quiet place, and I close my eyes, and I just breathe naturally, and focus on the physical sensation of my breath. And whenever I notice my mind start to wander, I just gently refocus myself back on my breath. And that develops this brain muscle, basically, of being aware of when your mind is wandering and gently redirecting yourself back to what you're supposed to be focusing on. And this can come in handy in all sorts of situations, trust me. The mindfulness is a huge one to develop, and it will lead to a very much enhanced ability to focus. And focus is one of the most powerful traits that you can develop. People of all sorts of great success, like I believe Bill Gates and several other multi-billionaires, have been asked what the most important trait responsible for their success was, and they answered focus. And that's because without that ability to focus, you're just not going to accomplish anything. But if you are able to focus, then there's no limit to what you can do. So if you develop that mindfulness and that focus, then you can learn how to preempt triggers and ride through even those rough patches. Another habit that you should develop is how you think about a relapse when it happens. Likely the habit you have right now is when you relapse, you feel bad about it. You're like, oh man, darn it. Wow, I can't believe I just did that. Ah, man. Do it again. And then you relapse again because you feel bad about yourself and you feel like you threw away the day, you threw away your progress, and you have nothing left to fight for. So you just give in. But that's not the way you should be thinking about it. Instead, you should say, man, wow, that was not the right thing to do. I can't believe I did that. Whew. But I'm not going to let that mistake, that single mistake, define me or define my day. I'm not just going to throw away this day and start again tomorrow. No, I'm going to defy that mistake and make this the best day I can make it in spite of that one error. And that way, we don't let the relapse determine who we are or how we feel about ourselves. We feel guilty about it and we don't want to do it again, but we don't let that mistake tell us that we're bad people or that we're failures. Because that's just not true. Everyone makes mistakes. It's how we deal with those mistakes that define who we are. Now, if you can develop that habit of dealing with relapse in that way, then relapse won't actually be that bad for you. And it won't happen that often. And when it does, it won't mean the end of your progress. It's not all about how long your streak is. It's much more important if you've been 2 months and you've masturbated twice in those 2 months. Even if your streak now is 2 days long, that's a lot better than a guy with a streak of 2 weeks who went on a major binge 2 weeks ago, masturbated 10, 15 times in the last 2 months. So don't worry so much about the length of your streak, and don't let having to reset that streak time make you feel bad about yourself enough that you go on a binge. You also ask some related questions. Do you journal? Absolutely, I journal. It's an incredibly powerful tool for understanding yourself and your process and where you are right now. It's very cathartic to get that down on paper. I don't have a specific regimen. I don't do it every day or every week, but it can be an incredibly powerful tool. Do you visualize goals or try to deal with your beliefs? Now, what I think you're really asking me here is what sort of self-development principles do I adhere to that allow me to combat addiction and recover? And I can tell you that I've studied self-development for a long time. And one thing I've learned is that there is no single way, there's no single method that'll best allow you to reach your goals or have success. I mean, there's a lot of people out there, credible people, who say that the way to accomplish your goals is to visualize them very clearly and think about them every day. And there are also other people out there who say if you really want to accomplish your goals, you shouldn't think about them. Right? There are people out there who say if you want goals that you can accomplish, if you really want to make those goals happen, you have to make them small and achievable. Otherwise, you'll get frustrated when you fail to reach your goal. But there are others who say if you really want a goal that you're going to work for, you have to make it big and inspiring so that you're motivated enough to take massive action and go after that goal and make it a reality. Now, none of these people are wrong. None of them are right either. Or maybe they're all right. But what's really true is that you have to find out what works for you. And I can tell you one thing, is that no matter how you think about your beliefs or how you manage your goals or any of that, none of it is as important as taking action. You can make all the goals you want, you can write all the journal entries you want, you can think about how to think and how to act all you want, but none of that is actually going to accomplish anything. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but the most important part of doing anything is the actual doing of it. Even when you feel doubt, you're not sure what the proper course of action is, it's much better to take a step, to take action and learn from that, because that's how you learn what really works and what doesn't. That's much better than vacillating between plans and just remaining in indecision. So this can apply to you in those periods of time when you feel depressed and empty and lonely too. Say you wake up in the morning and you're in bed and you just can't think of a reason to get out of bed. Just like, I don't even know why I would get out of bed today because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have anything to fight for. And then we end up pulling out our smartphone and watching videos, and that leads to watching porn. Something like that. Instead, if you think, I just don't feel like getting up, but I just need to focus on this one action that I need to do to accomplish something I want to do today. Okay, I wanted to run. What do I need to do? Well, if I wanted to run, I probably need to get out of bed. So just focus on that one thing. That's pretty achievable, right? Just getting out of bed, standing up. And then the next thing, well, if I wanted to run, I probably need to put on shorts. And then you put on your shorts. And you don't allow yourself to be distracted by, I have to put on my shorts, I have to put on my shoes, and then it's really cold outside, and then I didn't really have a good meal last night, so I don't have a lot of energy right now. Instead of allowing all those thoughts to intrude into your mind and cause self-doubt, you use that mindfulness you've developed to gently refocus yourself on what's right in front of your face, what you need to do in the moment to take the action that you really know is right. And in that moment, it's just putting on your shorts. And that's a pretty manageable thing, right? I think that even if you're really depressed, you can probably manage to put on your shorts. And that's all you need to do in that one moment. And then the next thing, all you need to do is put on a sock. Just take it one step at a time. And instead of being overwhelmed and allowing all these thoughts about what's coming in the future to intrude upon you and overwhelm you and make you try to escape it with an addictive behavior, Just use that mindfulness you've developed to focus on the moment. Take it one step at a time. And before you know it, you'll be on this track. You'll have a lot of momentum built up, and you'll be well on the way to success. And the more actions you take, the happier you'll be, the more confident and competent you'll become. Even when you don't feel like it, if you develop this habit of taking action, just doing something, it'll be much better than remaining in indecision or vacillating between choices or just lying there in depression. Now, I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you, but if you'd like to go over this all in a more measured way and get a lot more information and advice, read my book, Whack Addicted to Internet Porn, especially the Guide to Recovery. There's far more info in there than I could ever put into a video like this. Now lastly, you tell me a little bit about your job here, and that you're not really passionate about what you're doing and not really inspired enough to take the actions you would need to take to really be successful in that career. You say, I don't feel very pulled towards, excited, passionate to go and study these subjects, even though I know it's what I have to do. So I end up procrastinating, rationalizing it's okay to leave it for later, especially if I'm not on a good nofap streak. My passion for this is 4 out of 10. Now you can certainly punch the clock the rest of your life and still have a good life, a healthy life, a happy family. You can accomplish goals and have great hobbies, but you're never going to become great at something that you don't love, that you're not truly passionate about. You simply won't have the willpower, the drive, the motivation to make it a success no matter what. When going gets tough, if you don't love it, if you're not really passionate about it, you're going to give up on it. So I highly recommend to everybody to find something that they can absolutely love and build in a way that feels like play rather than work, and make that their vocation. Because when you build your life, and work is a very large portion of your life, when you build your life around something that you absolutely love and that fulfills you, then it enriches your entire life to an incredible degree. It makes you a happier, more wholesome and confident person in everything else you do. And it might take a long time to find out what that is that you truly love. You might think, well, I've always really loved preparing food, and maybe that's really my calling. So you go to chef school, then you get a job as a chef, and you absolutely fucking hate it. It's just horrible. It's hot in that kitchen, and everyone's yelling at you, and it's stressful, and you just don't like it at all. A lot of people at this point would say, well, I gave my dream a go, and I failed, so I guess it's back to punching the clock at that job I was like, about. But that doesn't have to be the end. You don't have to give up there. You just keep looking until you find what really makes you passionate and what you can make a living at. And if you do find that, when you do find that, you'll be so much happier and more able to take proper action the rest of your life, because you have that center, that focus, that purpose that drives your life. So if you're out there and you think you have a story or a question or experience that I might have some insight on, you can send that to me and I might make a video response like this. Send that to me at my contact information in the description below. If you're out there and you appreciate these messages, they've added value to your life, you can express that appreciation by donating to me at my website, addictedtointernetporn.com. Coach Church out.